Welcome to the Live Free podcast, where we cover all things neuro-wellness, neuro-empowerment, and anything that helps you live free. We discuss and share modern neuroscience principles so that you can remove restrictions holding you back, create an incredibly fulfilling experience, and live free. So on the Live Free podcast, we talk about all things living free. Free to create, free from limiting beliefs, and free to live fully. Sometimes we talk about the neuroscience of being in free state versus confined state. Sometimes we talk about neurogenesis, neuroplasticity, but my favorite conversations by far are when we get to talk with someone who is living free. I'm here with Tatum, also known as Renwell, MD, formerly Dr. Toner, as a practicing hospitalist physician, kind of a mouthful. She's now focusing on educating about real health. So welcome, Tatum. I'm so excited to have this conversation today.
Thank you so much. I'm also super excited. This is my favorite topic.
Yeah. As I've watched you on Alex's podcast and followed you and read your magazine, I love how courageously and freely you create. So that's
Thank you so much.
What I want to talk to you about today. I want to learn about your journey. How did you come to be in such a free state? Were there any tipping points along the way? How do you maintain that state of freedom? And also, I want to talk about the vision that you're creating, bringing into existence for yourself, personally, professionally, for your family. So, I'd like to start with a question about how your journey began. So, was there a moment or an experience or a realization that made you start to question the conventional medical system that you were trained in?
Yes. And it was, there definitely is first of all, thanks for having me. That was a lovely introduction, and
My pleasure.
I feel so grateful to be here. I guess I can say what would be valuable to know for your listeners is that I was not this person before. And that's probably the biggest thing that I think that I can teach is that I was type A, very go-getter, very people-pleasy. I was the class comedian. Every time there was any kind of class vote, it was always I'm the comedian one. I'm the funny one. And I think with that, it is the sense of needing to please people and create happiness and likability, And I had this gift of humor and comedic timing, and I played that up, and I wanted people to like me. And then, that high school, I had an accident when I was in junior high, which was probably the first pivotal change in this avatar's life that really made me have to sit with myself. So I was 12 years old, a horse stepped on my face. It was catastrophic in terms of what I looked like, rebuilding my tear ducts and just, they had to shave my head. I have, a scar all the way around. This was going into 7th grade, a transformative accident that really pushed me into severe insecurities, severe depression, really questioning the meaning of life, because this is when girls are wearing makeup. This is when girls are playing with their hair, and I had a shaved head. This is to top it off, I had chosen as a soul, I had chosen the parents that I chose for very specific reasons. And I believe it was because when this moment was going to happen for me, I was going to be alone in dealing with it. It was going to be unsupported. My parents didn't have the tools. They didn't know how to help their 12-year-old daughter who was battling crazy things in her life. And there was a lot of escapism.
Yeah, right.
So their way of handling trauma was not in presence, was not in support. It was escapism. So that, as a 12-year-old girl going through something really life-altering without any support, really forced me to have an internal dialogue. That was the first time. And I went out into the hills, and there was this moment where I just didn't even want to live anymore. I was like, I don't want to do this. And I heard myself talking to myself. You have choices here. You do have choices. You can keep living the way you're living, which is in this really rigid structure of how you're supposed to act and be and look and feel and do, and, what you're supposed to get, and how you're a victim, or you can accept that this is what's happened to you and show how this can be still the funniest person anyone's ever met, still the greatest people pleaser anyone has ever met. You can still bring value to people's lives, even though they're not going to necessarily think of you the same way, And that conversation with myself. I know exactly where I was. I know how it played out. I was 12 years old. I was, in this life-crushing moment. And I chose life. I said, okay, yeah, let's pivot. Let's not live in this victim. I wanted everyone to tell me that I looked fine. I was just going to my friends, my poor friends, all day, every day. Do I look normal yet? And I was writing. I was obsessed, and I needed that validation from everyone around me to tell me what I knew was already true. You don't look the same. You don't look normal. You're not the same person, And this is your life. You have to live this. You have to go through this process, and you have to heal. No one is going to make this easier for you. You can't look at your friends. You can't look at your parents. You can't look at people who are in this life with you as being your ticket to internal peace. Like that'll never. So that was, for me, maybe my first experience in sort of knowing that I'm not confined to this physical body, that there's perceptions, there's ways of navigating, there's, I am not, just because this happened to me, I am therefore doomed for the path of my worst fear, So I made that pivot then, and I thought about that time multiple times throughout my life as a reminder to go back to navigating in your happy place, in comfort in your own heart. You don't have to get the validation from everyone around you that you're on the right path. You can get that from your own heart. And so I applied that in a lot of ways throughout my life leading up to, but I didn't adopt the foundation that was, which was, you got to stop coming from a place of fear. You can't live in fear. You can't live in fear of all the what if and all the scariest things. You have to live in a moment of presence. That message didn't come through until I'm in residency, post-medical school. I've gone to college. I've gone to medical school. I'm doing the power thing. I'm doing the societal bravo, the people pleasy, I'm reaching the chains. I'm earning my parents' love and affection, and I'm doing all these things that I need to do, and I've done it. Now I'm the resident doctor. And then I'm also, at this point, the resident doctor, incredibly sick. So sick. My body was just in this inflammatory of control, of not honoring self, not honoring what do I really want to do, and instead outsourcing to, what does the world want from me? What does the world want me to do? What is it that everybody else wants for me? And in doing that life, there was a lot of things I shouldn't have done, and there was a lot of things that were not healthy for my body, that internally I was like, this is not good. I wanted everyone to like each other. I wanted fairness. I wanted control. I wanted nobody breaks the law. Nobody hurts each other. Everybody in their corner. Everybody do right by each other. And that I feel like that is a victim mindset. That's a I can't handle life. I'm inherently flawed and little unless I have it perfectly set up around me. Unless it's perfect, then I'll feel safe to live my life, right? Then I'll feel safe to have my own experience of life. And I had various influencers from my hometown and in my life who were spreading the truths about Western medicine and holistic medicine, but I was in medical school and I was in residency and I was listening, but I was not integrating. I was like, that's an interesting perspective, but not necessarily thinking it had any place in my life. And also not putting the two together that I was as sick as I was because I was, living the way that I was living. And so now comes what my health was in, where I really had to face the chronic illness that it was weighing me down. And there was a series of divine things that had happened. Like I was taking the samples of Emgality, which I talked about in my podcast with The Way Forward, which was that, that was my first clue that I could actually feel better. And so I went into the literature, deep dive into the literature. And this was PubMed and the Protein Genetic Atlas and PubChem. And I spent hundreds of hours. I mean, this was outside of residency trying to heal myself with the information that I had at hand. And what I learned was that, oh Lord, we're doing things wrong here. And I have this basically like, oh shit moment, like what is going on? And that's right as the pandemic is hitting. So I'm in my third and final year of residency.
We are triggered by people who show us where we're not free.
Right.
They show us where we're not free. And I mean, there's so much in what you said. I would love to follow up with a few things.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's wonderful. When you started to have your aha moments and you described a few tipping points, it's almost like all of a sudden you were in free state, because what were some of the hardest ones for you to shed that maybe you had culturally or from family or training?
Apparently it was the germ theory. I think that was because I definitely was. No, I let go of that one pretty easily. Never mind. I'm changing my tone. But I will say, the lesson, the biggest lesson came from. So, I was pregnant in residency, and I was one of 78 that refused, and the CEO of the hospital, who would have gotten 100% bonus, which was, I think, 6 figures if everyone had a compliance rate, was really angry with me, justifiably. I was losing a big bonus. And their way of potentially still getting it was to somehow try to kick me out of the program. Kick me out of residency. But that wasn't legal, and there was a lot of red tape there because the program was getting government funding to have a resident at their hospital. So there was sort of like this niche position, which I think is divine. Like if I was anyone else at any other stage, they wouldn't have had this like, what do we do with this, And so they would have just fired me. They literally would have just fired me. So instead, they sent me home while they had meetings and talked about what the right way forward and if they could provide accommodations until I was after pregnant, even though I was like, that pregnancy has nothing to do with this. And I told them that. But regardless, they sent me home. And so the reality of that moment was I was now home Monday morning. I don't know if I have a job. And the reality is I'm in my third year of residency. No one takes a third year resident. This isn't something where I could just go into another program or find another. If I lost my spot in my third and final year of residency, that was it. Game over. Nothing. Everything I had spent my whole life's work up until that point, all the hundreds of thousands, it's like $500,000 debt, right? All of that money for nothing, every bit for nothing. I mean, I was just sitting at home going, what just happened? What just happened? Like, this was not supposed to be my life. I was not supposed to be this person. I'm the liked person. I'm the liked one. I'm the funny one. I'm the go-getter. I get straight A's. I accomplish goals. This is what I do. And now I'm sitting here with zero control over the situation. What they decide as my future in their little meetings, because I will not bend the knee to anyone anymore is out of my control. I have no idea what they're going to decide. And that moment was the most liberating moment of my entire life. I literally was like, hallelujah. I don't have to, has nothing to do with me. I don't have to do a test. I don't have to perform well. I literally could just sit at home, twiddle my thumbs while these demons figure out what they want to do with me. What are we going to do with her? What do we do? How do we move forward? What do we do? And what started as absolutely terrifying, my whole life is going to go away, became, all right. And I told my husband, this just literally tells us what we're going to do with our life. And actually, in this moment, I'm kind of dreading the idea that they let me back in, if I'm being real. To be forced into a situation that they take everything else that they take away from me, and I have no control other than this is my body, and I'm gonna just stand, and it's her ride or die right now. I'm gonna be here for her, and I'm gonna be like, girl, I got you. You lost your whole career, you lost everything, but you're okay. We're gonna be okay. And I was that for myself, like and I created this plan of we'll sell our house. Let's get in the trailer and travel the country, and we don't need anything, and we'll sell everything, and who cares? I don't need to be a doctor, and that sounded fun. That sounded like, let's do that. And then right after
But
that...
where did that inner strength come from? Tatum, where did that inner strength come from? Was it just you embrace the truth that you had come to? Was it just I don't know. Where did like a lot of people, they don't know how to trust their intuition over like external authority. Yes, you came home and you had fear, and yet what flipped? Like when you said you went to like, hallelujah.
It was the confidence in the literature and the foundation and my own life experience to that point. Meaning I could go out and I could tell people I healed myself with this, I did XYZ, but that, if that story doesn't actually translate to the trenches, to what I was actually alleviating, the improvement of my physical body and those energetics and how good that felt, I can't explain that to anybody. I can't, it doesn't matter. I came out of complete energetic disarray and inflammatory and all these bodily signs saying you're not aligned, you're not living in alignment, you're being attacked. All these clues that I was not divine Tatum. In that process, in researching my way out and adding magnesium, right? Like, okay, I know people who have Alzheimer's and neurocognitive, they're all low mag. So I'm just going to start adding magnesium to my life. Oh my gosh, I'm sleeping better. Things are getting better. I'm feeling stronger about myself. That long journey of learning my own body, nobody could take that away from me. Nobody could tell me that I didn't live it the way, the physicality part, right? The physicality. What did it mean to feel good inside my body? Nobody could tell me I didn't experience that the way I experienced that. And yet when I was trying to teach people what led to that, I was woo-woo. I was the conspiracy theorist. I was the magnesium makes your pee expensive. What is she talking about? Immediately start getting the scarlet letter on my, and I'm like, this is now psychological. I have the data. I have the equations. I have the biochemical. I researched with your science how to heal myself. And now you're saying I'm woo-woo for using your science to heal myself? And I could not change the minds of my colleagues at all. Could not, period. It was like I was talking to a brick wall. I'm patient ground zero. Look at me. You guys saw me last year. You saw the dark circles under my eyes and the amount of crap I was taking. Like, look at me now. I'm vibrant. I'm alive. I'm sleeping. I'm enjoying my life. I've never experienced life like this. There's got to be something to that. But then I'm a conspiracy theorist. So that showed me the mentality of peace, the blocking of our own minds And I used to be you. I used to think that people who didn't vaccinate their kids were a threat to society. I used to be you. Oh my gosh. That was my mind playing tricks on me. So what is my mind? If my mind isn't me, who am I? And if I can change my mind to adapt to myself, then who am I if I'm not my mind, And then mind, body, spirit. We've talked about this. How many times have you heard mind, body, spirit? We talk about it all the time. So now I'm a spirit. It's all connected. And you have to have alignment with all three. You have to have alignment with all three.
You have to have So I have a good question about this, because like we work in the mind, but it's almost like we're peeling off all those beliefs to expose who you really are. Like, it's like we have them all packed on. And so we're trying, and like you talk about how, avoiding the toxins and then giving your body what it needs. And the body's amazing and it can take care of everything, right?
It doesn't, you don't even have to think about it.
With this.
Sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
It's like, it's right. And so like when we focus on the mind, body, spirit being all connected, do you feel like, because with our work, we are focused on the mind, and yet we're saying, get rid of the toxic thoughts, the beliefs. Right. We're like, get rid of those toxins, and then give your body the nutrients, the truth, the light, we do get into some of the physical aspects of supporting the brain, and yet
like
it really
the sympathetic nervous,
remove the toxins, give the nutrients, and you will be in that place of alignment with your true identity, like who you are. You're going to peel off all that junk that's sitting there. And so do you feel like we heal physically and then the mental, emotional, spiritual healing takes place, or vice versa? Or does it really matter which side you start on?
No, it doesn't matter.
I mean,
it truly doesn't matter.
Right. Okay.
Because, you do. Yeah, the goal is alignment. It doesn't matter which part you fix, spiritual first. A lot of people fix the spiritual part first. So many people fix the spiritual part. It doesn't matter. Mind, body, spirit. You can make your body. You can also have people who are bodybuilders, chiseled, and they are walking dead people. There's no vitality in their eyeballs. They have mastered. These are the creatine people and the mono supplement people and all. They have mastered the physicality. They get and you got to be in the gym and you got to do this and the cardio and the cardio is actually super unhealthy, but regardless, they can chisel their bodies and they get the physicality, but they are so disconnected from source and they're so disconnected from their own divinity and who they are that person is a very unhealthy person. I know that they're probably going to live a short life.
I have a story about one of my daughters who, she had, she was 19, rheumatoid arthritis, and all kinds of things. She walked like she was 100 years old. Like it was awful. And she kind of did a couple things. She had been doing some, what are they called? The shots. Oh shoot. I used to know the name. It was like $1,000 a shot.
Yeah. And like PRP.
It was suppressing her immune system. Yeah. And so whatever it is. Okay. Doesn't matter. So she started working on some forgiveness of others, and she got off the meds and just started drinking green tea, and her numbers are zero. She did like this multi-angle, like she was forgiving and she was supporting her body with just some really good antioxidants and electrolytes, and it's amazing. It's amazing. And so she kind of came at it, two angles.
And anybody, like I'm not sitting here saying that like, oh, I'm living forever. I'm never going to have a headache again. I'm never going to feel again. I'm never going to have, because I'm in this constant state of presence and bliss, and I'm mindful of my Taurus, and I'm not controlled, and I'm living free. I'm likely going to be a lot healthier and happier than the next person. That's likely the scenario, is that I'm probably a lot healthier than the next person. But it doesn't mean that I am not going to experience symptoms of disalignment moving forward. Mind, body, spirit, all it is, doesn't matter if your body, so the most chaotically inflamed bodies are the people who aren't sleeping. You know, they're not sleeping and their bodies are in just sheer disarray of inflammatories, and they're not sleeping. And everyone goes, oh, well, sleep's important. You know, you got to sleep. But why aren't they sleeping? It's not the sleep, it's their connection to their pineal gland. How you get out of any situation in life, health, money, anything. It's just you got to sit in the back, you got to hunker in and just let it play out and watch it play out with this heart space of awe and love and gratitude, because otherwise you're going to get spit back in again and again and again as that little matrix battery pod, you know, feeding whatever is in the, yeah.
Do you ever feel pulled back to the system? I mean, is
Never.
there ever like something you miss? Okay.
And the reason
what would you say to, oh, go ahead. No, finish. Sorry.
Yeah, just is that the more that I have realized the truth of this experience, the healthier, happier, more enlightened I've become. I do not want to be the old version of myself. Granted, to get here was incredibly painful. There was not one easy road that I took to get to this place. There was not every single birth of my child that I did in the free space. What taught me something about my own soul, taught me something about this experience. And those weren't easy. Every time I've put up boundaries to anyone in my life, you don't get to talk to me that way. You don't get to treat me that way, which is not something that I knew how to do before. And I just allowed it. Energetically was just damaging my body every single time. The more that I put myself into the front seat as being respected, I'm going to respect myself first. First, I'm going to respect this girl who had such a hard upbringing, who was so lost, so didn't know who she was, and she made it out. That's it. She made it out. And like, holy that's yay, you know? Like, I love that for her. I love that for me. I love that I'm connected into this. And it doesn't mean that I'm happy that things happened the way that they did. That was pretty sad. But they had to happen that way in order for me to feel this way today. And so because I have that lens for everything that has come here today, everything that has brought me here to this moment today, to feeling this way inside my body, which I wouldn't trade for the world, I have to be grateful, and I have to accept every bad thing that happened to get me here. I have to understand that there was value there, that there was a lesson there, that there was a honing. My Tatum, the higher self, was honing my experience to get me here. That means everything that happens to me, as long as I stay in the centered alignment free, good or bad, coming to me in the future is for my ultimate highest good, my ultimate honing, my ultimate alignment. It's what's for me. It's meant for my soul. We don't have control over that. We have control over how we integrate that experience. Does it shift our heart space? Do we now put that magnetic Taurus into fearland and feed a demon? Or do we stay rooted in our heart space, in our body? Do we stay with this alignment of mind, body, spirit, and we invite it? I'm inviting this world, whatever is meant for me, to come into my presence, and let's teach. And so much, and a lot of the choices then that I've made, or a lot of the things that have happened, look pretty scary. You know, I left medicine. I don't have a 6-figure income anymore. I tried to do the influencer thing. That didn't work. So don't have that as an option, you know, but I have been in this state of practice now for long enough that I know that even if right now looks scary, even if it right now looks uncomfortable, if I am staying true to my center and my heart space in what feels good and what doesn't feel good, and I own that in its entirety, ultimately on the other side of this is my next level up. That's my next level up. So this is Avatar Tatum's current struggle in life, is like trying to find the balance between where have I adopted a lifestyle that I know is healthiest for my family and for my children and their connection to their own divine. And then where is the need to have family? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to blend these realities. And I'm just listening to my intuition.
And it's hard because sometimes boundaries feel like walls, and we don't always want the walls. And so sometimes when I've been talking with people about a similar blending, it's like, okay, visualize this bridge and what it means to come over into my space. Like, what does that look like? And it feels different than a wall, but it's like, this is what I'm creating, and I would love to have you join me in what I'm creating. And yet sometimes, we do mesh a little bit more than is perfect, I guess.
So with this particular sister-in-law, I did have that conversation, and I've laid a lot of boundaries and and I'm trying not to be over or too much, or a broken record. But the first time I did it, it was very, I thought this was great. This is amazing. I feel amazing. I feel great. Moving forward, this is going to be really amazing for both of us. And she didn't like it. Immediately was just like, I'm like, wait, you seem like your energy is actually lower. Like, you seem like you're walking away from this conversation not happier, but lower. Why? Let's talk about that. Because if I'm walking away from this conversation lit up that we get to meet each other where we're at and be more real with each other and more authentic, and that should be a good thing, why are you walking away with that actually being a bad thing? And it's because that relationship didn't benefit me. It benefited her. And that constant, and now I'm pulling back and I'm saying my space deserves respect too. Why is that something that doesn't sit well with you? That's odd.
Mm-hmm. I do know. I do know.
So yeah, I mean, it all comes down to our own limitations. And so where I've sort of become this recluse and retreated from society is I can't unsee it anymore. I just see everybody as attacking each other from their own brain's limitation. I can't unsee where a person is limited by their own logic, by their own, and I'm like, you don't have to be limited. You get to be free. You could go be free. You don't have to,
Right.
It's a hard thing.
A lot of people just aren't ready.
Yeah.
Right. And it's kind of like when I'm asked, how would I help someone like reconnect to their own true identity, their body, their soul, their mind, and their wisdom, their own intuitive wisdom after they've been outsourcing to external authority for so long. And I don't know. We can give people tools for pulling off limiting beliefs, and we can help them discover their true identity, but it comes down to the work. We individually get to go through things and decide what we're going to think about it and how we're going to act and the meaning we're going to attach to our experiences, because you're attaching incredible meaning to things that other people would say, that was horrible, that was bad. You had to give up your medical. You chose to give up your medical license. That's terrible. And yet for you, instead of focusing on what you've lost, you're focusing on what is now available to you. And it's a choice. It's a switch in the brain. And that's something that not everybody really wants to do. So it's a challenge. It's super challenge. And so I would ask, because I know your family's waiting for you, a couple more questions. Sure. So what truths have you learned that you really hope your children embrace? Like, if you could say there's these 3 things that I just really want my children to embrace, and I hope they do, so that they can live their best life.
Well, okay, so the first thing, the most important thing that I want my kids to know is that they were born exactly the way they were born for a reason. There is no, you have to be any different than who you are. And I want them to know that support comes from their mother. Second, that's the second thing. I'm here because I didn't have that support, and to me that motherly support, I want them to know that like they can do no wrong forever. They can do no wrong forever. They can do no wrong because I know that soul was on a journey to do exactly what that soul is doing. And it's beautiful. And it's beautiful and it's perfect. And as long as they're aware of that, as long as they understand that is beautiful and perfect, and as long as they have acceptance for their journey and what's happening to them, not to them, but for them, as long as they see everything that's coming through their own eyes as happening for them, they can do no wrong. They are perfect in who they are. And I think what solidified this for me was astrology in the face of those cosmic energies creating real physicality. So my daughter, Mila, who is incredibly lazy, and her birth chart via the stars, when I had it read, she's like, "Oh yeah, your daughter is super lazy." And I was like, "Shut up. How is that in her birth chart? How do you know?" And then she compared her birth charts and she said, "Yeah, you're obsessed with your daughter, but she's a daddy's girl." And I'm like the stars said that, like so I'm like talking to this astrologer who's like nailing this daughter who I'm obsessed with. I mean, she's just calling out who my daughter. She's never met my daughter. She's an infant. She's a baby. And she's telling me all about my daughter based on her coordinates or whatever. And I'm just like going, how do you know that? So she's telling me, so she is going to be lazy. Like that's going to be a part of her overall life, is she's not going to have internal drive. She's not going to have, she's going to require a lot of encouraging. She's going to always be a little bit lazy. And the fact that now I know this about her, and the fact that I know my son, who's a Capricorn, who cannot stand laziness, cannot stand anybody who's not driven and type A and is going to go, and I'm an Aquarius. Turns out as an Aquarius, I understand everybody and I get everybody and I get the gist and that we're all different. So now my job in terms of my own unit is to teach my son that his character traits are for him. Those are for his gifts, his life choices. His lazy sister Mila, bless her heart, literally we have to remind her to use her feet on a regular basis. It's like, you have to walk, you have to try. You have to try, sister, okay? And we're constantly reminding her that she has to try, And she's 2 now. And this birth chart is her. I mean, the birth lady said she's going to be beautiful. My daughter is so beautiful. There are all these things that she's going to have and she's going to do was determined by the stars. She did the same thing for me and my son. And it's to see it play out in actuality really puts some credibility to that, Granted, let's be real that she's reading it from a computer data system, and this computer data system currently owns the entirety of how human thinks and lives. So there may be some missing data that I don't actually have, but the way that it's playing out is really solidifying this belief that we're born exactly who we are, and that we're born with a set of gifts, more importantly, that our gifts are more important than where we're not really meeting the mark of what society says we're supposed to meet the mark, because that doesn't exist. That's not real. Where we're not, 9 to 5, you work to this and you have a retirement and you become a doctor, a lawyer, and you do all these things. That is built-in ego. And we're all sitting here trying to figure out where our ego fits into all that. That's not real. Our souls are here to bring our souls gifts, but then also to work together in a community to see how our gifts can all come together to create heaven on earth. It's like, it's the most perfect design, and yet we're all sitting here arguing about how we need to be the same. Like, that's the matrix. That's That is the control there. And the truth, too, the muddy truth is that if you were to talk to anybody in politics, doesn't matter who you're talking to, whether you're talking to somebody in the Republican side or you're talking to somebody in the Democratic side, they're talking truth. They both are speaking so much clear truth. It's just been manipulated. It's just been the truth that they're speaking. So they're resonating with the truth. We should love each other. We should support each other. We should, these democratic progressive values of we got to look after each other. And we shouldn't judge each other for, these true beliefs of what it means to be a human are being manipulated. And then the true beliefs of, we should be sovereign, the family unit, don't give government outsourcing, all these things that the Republican side are saying, that is also true. So we have truth in both parties. Now, what is the clash for? What are we clashing over? And what we're clashing over are fears, all these boxes, all these things, all of these boxes. I can see that person as a divine soul. Can that person see me as a divine soul? Can that person see me as, That's the clash.
That's the clash.
That's it.
Right there.
Yeah. I still see a divine soul in there, and I will hold out hope that you see that one day as well. Forever. I will hope that you see the divinity in yourself. That's the only way anyone's getting out of here. It's the only way we're making heaven on earth is when we accept ourselves as divine souls, and then we can look at everyone else and go, your divine soul's pretty cool. That's the ascension that everyone talks about, the spiritual journey, but it starts with recognizing that I'm divine, you're divine, everyone around us in their own unique expressions are divine, and we have to allow that. And the only way that we allow that is addressing what part of that makes us insecure inside our own bodies. Which part of which person makes you insecure? Why? Why does that go sit with that for a little bit? Why is that person triggering you? Go figure it out so that you can fully accept yourself. If you don't like certain things about yourself, no one's going to change that, and for the most people, they don't like how they, and people don't like how they feel in their bodies. Most of the time it's like depression, or I just feel yucky, or I don't have enough energy, or I don't like it's a feeling. Well, those are not mistakes. The way that your brain is assessing the physicality of your body is not a mistake. That is something driving that connection to pay attention to the knee, to pay attention to the migraine. What are we not doing? Are we not sleeping? Are we not, most of the time it's not sleeping, but it is a call. It's a call to action. Any kind of symptom is a call to sit with, how am I not doing this right?
Hey, so if listeners could apply one thing that you do in your life to live more free, where could they start? What would you invite them to do?
I would say just take a real quick assessment of what scares you. First and foremost, where are you living out of fear? Where do you feel? Why are you like as simple as I'm going to work every day. And if you're doing that because you love it, because you love your people in there, you love the work you're doing, you feel like you're being called to do it, and it's gives you purpose and value. If you're not living your life in ways that feel like that, and let's say you don't like going to your job, then why are you going to your job? If you don't like, I'm afraid of that, I'm a fear of that, I'm a fear. What if this happens? I don't have this. I don't have my retirement. What if I get fired? We're entering an era where everyone has been working their 9-to-5s, and AI is about to replace all the jobs. So you're going to get fired anyways. Why let that be someone else's choice? Why not let it be your choice? I'm not telling everyone to quit their job. That's not what I'm trying to tell. But I'm just saying so many people are living in these boxes thinking they have to live their life this way and I have to behave this way because of fear. So first, sit down with all your fears. And I'm going to probably say the number one fear that everyone wants to talk about is fear of death. And the fear of death. Everyone got the COVID vaccine because they didn't want to die from COVID. People didn't get the COVID vaccine because they didn't want to die from the vaccine. It's like people move out of fear. I definitely moved out of fear. I didn't want to die from. What I should have done is not gotten the vaccine because I was afraid of it, but not gotten the vaccine because the vaccine doesn't bring me joy. That's what I should have done. Like, I'm not getting it, not because I'm afraid. I'm not getting it because there's nothing about that that's going to give me joy. I don't want joy. I'm not afraid of a contagion. A contagion doesn't exist as it would turn out, which should tell you that the creation of that contagion, which was the creation of the fear, was created to control you, which is pretty powerful when you realize, oh, so really all I don't have to do is be afraid, and then they can't control me, and I don't have to be afraid of this world at all. I don't have to be afraid of the IT or the takeover. I don't have to be afraid of anything. I don't have to be afraid of anything because I'm channeling myself. I'm connected to the divine. And if there's a war for our souls, me being attached to mine is the only thing I can do to participate. That's it. And I know that everything that fear does is for a reason. It's a purpose. It's there either because I was hijacked or because, like the money thing. Money, a dollar bill, it's a number and what does money do to you, for you? The money itself, the dollar bill gives no joy. You don't all of a sudden go, if you do, it's in your mind. You know what I mean? That's your mind. And that you have access to that without the dollar. You can go, you can literally imagine $1 million in your bank account right now. You're a billionaire. Congratulations. And now you can feel what it feels like to be a billionaire because it's in the bank. It's the same as when it wasn't in the bank. Now it's in the bank. Cool. Now you're a millionaire. Imagine that. That's just a state of belief. That's just a state of energy that you're feeling. The money itself doesn't actually do that. People want what they think. Ego thinks the money is going to give them. They already have, and they already have it right now. They have everything they need to do that right now. So if that's what they're supposed to do, yeah. Yes.
So what's next for you? Like, what are you creating for yourself personally, professionally, and for your family? What's next?
So when I left medicine, I thought, I was programmed into thinking that naturally means that if I want any kind of financial freedom, I have to be a Instagram influencer because that seemed like the out. That seemed like the way. That seemed like what everything I had seen be done. That is how you still manage to do things. Well, I had a pretty long influencing career, which was very exhausting and emotionally taxing. And there were good days, but there were bad days. And I don't know that necessarily, though I liked the reward of the likes and I liked the reward of the followings and the people like me, yay. It wasn't lending itself to my overall improvement of my well-being. And I started to realize that was more important to me than what I was doing or how I was doing it, like how I was making my livelihood. So as that joy kind of left my body, I was like, this is not the way. This is not for me. This is just not for me. Because I go back to that. So instead of trying to obtain that, which is not in my control, and run for that, I'm just going to follow my joy and do what lights me up and do what makes me happy. And as social media stopped making me happy, but I did like some of it. I like the creative piece. I left. I made this dramatic farewell. I'm sure you saw it. And then cried. And I had some dark days where I was just like, I keep thinking I'm finding out what I'm supposed to do, but none of this is it. So what is it? Like, what am I doing? And I had to let everything go again. Well, then it was the magazine. And I love this magazine. And I'm definitely honing. We're going the right direction. And so I had a September issue, an October issue, and they were so good. But this November issue, like I almost think the entirety of my life's journey was literally just for this November issue of this little tiny run of trying to be an editor-in-chief. You know what I mean? And then who knows from what, I have no idea what's going to come, but it feels big. It feels like this November issue is big. But in 2026, I'm going to pivot from magazines again because it is not it. I don't know how to explain it. It's just I'm working overtime for not the alignment that I'm going for. But in this pivot to an online health membership where now I'm going to start putting all of this data, all of my magazines, all of my podcasts, all of my resources. I think your class, your courses would be great on my website as like, if you're struggling with the mindfulness piece, go here, because it is a mind, body, and soul. And I'm a body expert. I can teach you about the body. I know the body profoundly. Like, no one knows the body like me. Nobody. Give me your highest doctor. Send me your virologist, your immunologist. Come here. Come on. Let's talk genetics. Let's do it. Nobody knows the body like I do. I cannot say I'm as expert into the neuroscience. I cannot say I'm an expert into spirituality, though I think I'm getting better at it, And so when we're talking about this alignment piece, that is where health and wellness lies. If you're not aligned to your spirituality, you're going to just have chaotic disarray, inflammatory, everything. The minute you tap into your stream, your own stream of divinity, your own stream of consciousness, now you're aligning everything to that. What does my symptom mean? And I'm fully accepting radical self-acceptance of my divine being, radical self-acceptance of everyone else, and what a life that is. How free is that? Like that changes everything.
Changes everything.
Oh, it changes everything. And so then, yeah. So now as I'm failing all these journeys that I'm doing, which I'm not necessarily failing, I don't think. I don't want to be a doctor. I don't want to prescribe medicines and have people manipulate their bodies like that. Western medicine is not my joy. And it might be joy for some people. I think it started out as my joy. It obviously was my joy in the beginning, which led me to here, which was my compass, right? I'm still following my joy. I'm still following, as I bring in new information, new awareness, I'm still pivoting to my joy. And so my joy now looks like an online membership platform where you can go and do health, I'll be there. It's basically, I'm the MD, but I'm not a practicing MD, but I'm there to answer questions. I'm there. There's other wellness people there to answer questions. There'll be a forum, there'll be, tabs for resources, but it's not going to be the health platform that's like all about the body and all that. It's going to be about inspirational things that truly do move human beings to operate in their divine way. And that's art, that's traveling, that's inspirational stories. That's like, how do I be inspired? Inspire me. Susan, our travel columnist, she was, with a 9-to-5 working corporate job and having all the symptoms of that stressful life. She moves to Vietnam, and I mean, her whole life is different. Her whole world, and the messages of that change, her journey from that role to now what she lives now and what she's learning is inspiring so many people. I mean, and in ways that like what you're doing, like limiting your freedom, like you don't have to be confined to a house. You don't even have to be confined to anything. You could just be completely free of vagabond in Vietnam, There's so many things that like our minds keep us trapped into behaving the ways for security and safety when we don't, it does. And so where I'm getting inspired by the travel columnist, and I'm saying that is health and wellness. She's a traveler. She's a travel columnist. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like, That's the health paradigm that I'm trying to build with the knowledge of like the physicality and all the science that people want to know. But it's more than just that.
Do you think that'll be coming out like the first part of 2026, or is it still in the creation? Not quite sure what it's going to look like yet.
Not quite sure although since I had the meeting last Monday, the visions are coming through. I'm starting to see it, and it is giving me a ton of joy. But I think it's a transition. Like anything is a transition. So we want to take this magazine idea, which is that there's these columnists with these perspectives, there's these divine gifts coming through, there's these, this is my message for the collective that's beautiful, and I want a place to put it. That I think can still be the method, which would just be a different kind of method. And then what I liked about the magazine was this, let me grab one real quick. like the physical, the smell, the reading it. I don't want to be behind a screen. I don't want to scroll. I liked the physical aspect of information, and so we're going to add that as an annual year in review. So it'll be like everything on the website, all these things, but then at the end of the year will be this like year in review book that if somebody wants to actually have like a really pretty coffee table book, because, visually appealing things are joy and romance and inspiration.
Wonderful.
And so, we're probably going to have the next few months as like deconstructing the existing magazines to then go into sort of like a blog format, I think. And then January will be the first month without a magazine. And so we'll have the September, October, November, December issues available to read, but then we're going to be transitioning to, because right now they're digital magazines. So
right. They're beautiful.
So then after, thank you. And then after this November one, I might actually take my column and then have it as a standalone piece for people, because it's my whole life's work. Might as well.
Thank you so much, Tatum, for your time, for your wisdom, for your enthusiasm, for your humor. I could just sit here all day and just listen and enjoy, and you're turning things on in my mind, and I'm excited. I'm excited to see where your membership goes and everything. So I hope we can talk again, maybe after your website and everything is going. We can come back and talk about what you've created and the freedom it's given you.
And I'm excited to dabble in your courses a little bit too, because I just saw this conversation amongst these astral workers. They're the people that are like, behind the scenes, untethering their souls and really getting into the nitty gritty of like what's going on behind our site. And so what they were just saying is, there's all these levels of awareness that maybe we weren't planned for, and nothing is as important. Nothing is as important as becoming sovereign. Nothing, not one thing. And they say that. They say we have our 100% our work cut out for us, to where we didn't think that it was our responsibility to help people become free. I think we need to put a little bit more of our collective efforts there. And it was the first time I had heard that. I've kind of have always adopted more of a let everyone's story unfold the way that it is. But then as I'm sitting here doing a podcast with you and we're talking about ways to get free, I'm like, this is literally exactly what he was talking about. Like, this is the work. This is what needs to get out there. So I'm thank you for doing that.
It's just so important. It's what leads to joy. It leads to abundance. And I thank you.
Especially on a collective.
Go ahead.
The collective hive mind. No, the collective hive mind too. This is not just our individual journeys. Like, our collective needs to shift. We have to shift to joy. We have to shift to loving ourselves and loving each other, and really honoring, even if it's hard, even if it loses your job, honoring the signals inside your body that are meant to guide you. They're there for a reason. They're divine. They're messages.
Perfect.
Thank
Perfect
you so
way
much, Karen.
to wrap it up. I appreciate you. Have an incredible day. Enjoy those beautiful children.
Thank you so much.
We'll see ya.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us for today's episode of the Live Free podcast. Subscribe to never miss out on new episodes, and follow us on Instagram at livefree_neuro-wellness.